Good morning, Intersection family, and welcome to this week's edition of our Growing at Home devotional. Something I've been reflecting on for a while now, and I'm sure many of you have been reflecting on this as well, is this topic of understanding and knowledge. Right? I'm willing to bet that every one of you who are watching right now have at some point recently become frustrated with someone regarding perhaps a lack of understanding or a lack of knowledge or a lack of shared perspective regarding current events that are swirling around us. Right? It seems that there are so many oppositional perspectives at play in the world today, and something that seems to almost compound the frustration is that many Christians, myself definitely included, almost have taken on this mantle as if it's our duty to educate our neighbors regarding maybe how they should approach certain topics or how they should feel about certain things. Right? I know this has certainly been convicting with me and has been resonating with me. And a specifically interesting thing that I felt convicted about this past week is that that's not really how God has designed our brains to work. Right? So our verse for reflection today is going to be in the Psalms. It's going to be Psalm 32, verse 8. And it reads, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you and watch over you. Right? So this verse may sound like something we've heard a bunch of times, but it struck me because how our brains work, your brain and my brain, is that everything we know is made up of physical neuron connections in our brain. Quite literally, everything we presently believe is physically encoded in brain cells. All right, and I realize that sounds a bit off track of a Bible reflection, but it really gives us interesting ground to see how we really operate in the world and then how God designed us to operate in the world. So if we think about this, to think differently on a topic or to change our perspective on a topic requires a lengthy process of literal physically rewiring brain cells into new neuron networks. And this is a slow process, and passionate debate or a well-reasoned argument about anything, COVID or elections or any of the swirling contemporary topics that people argue and fight over today, they don't have the biological impact to rewire our neighbor's brain in the moment. And here's when we can become frustrated with people. We may have a well-reasoned explanation for something, and when somebody doesn't immediately get it, we are primed to become frustrated with that person. We start to think less of our neighbor. We start to think poorly of them. We start to see character flaws in them. And people see this in us as well because we are as guilty of this as anyone. We start to become angry with people. And it doesn't reflect well on our witness in the world. Because the reality is that God has not designed us to respond to harsh acts of correction. He's designed us, like the Psalm says, to respond to patient, compassionate instruction. Something often lacking in our interactions with each other, but something abundantly available in God. See, God's patience with our follies goes all the way back to Noah in Genesis, when he made a covenant that he would never destroy the earth again because of human sin. That sort of patience quite literally is beyond us. But it doesn't mean that we have a reason or a justification to become impatient with each other. Now, it also doesn't mean that we should never offer critique on things, but that our critique should never contain resentment. See, Christ's patience for our stubborn ignorance extended to the point of dying on a cross for our salvation. And friends, I don't mean to sound dramatic, but that is the standard set before us. The neighbors we are often frustrated with are the exact people that we are called to sacrifice for. So, as convicting of a word this may be, I know it's certainly been convicting on me, I would invite us to reflect on that. And the next time that we see one of our neighbors or a relative or a friend or a former acquaintance displaying something that deeply irritates us, we can take a moment and pause to remember the patient instruction that God has had with us, and then we can show that patience to the people around us. So, friends, from all of us here at Intersection Ministries to you, we wish you an incredible rest of this week and many blessings to come.